is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 160. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him He's sitting here on a Thursday off a late night trip up to Frisco, Texas. Eventful, to say the least. I imagine your answer includes the word tired, but I'll ask you as I always do. How you feeling, my friend?
Tired. Unwell. Sad. I feel like I got to write a country song about traveling up to Frisco and getting my heart broken at this point, because this is just ridiculous. A lot to take in, a lot to talk about last night. I had no other way around it. But yeah, I'm not doing too great, which was, I mean, it's always like, I don't know. What am I supposed to say here? You know, I'm good, you know,
sure.
I'm good, you know, like everything's good. I'm fine. My life is still good. But I'm unwell.
I mean, I think our buddy Mike Bartlemay put it nicely this morning in a chat that I'm in, and he said, I am very sports sad today.
Okay.
And
I like that.
I think that encapsulates my feelings right now. Because yeah, man, I mean, you know, outside of my Austin FC fandom, everything's as normal.
Bronny James for free. We're good.
Man, it's tough right now. Speaking of Mike's, we did get to see, heading into the stadium last night, Mike and Steph Cragnola, and it was great to see them. I felt bad after the fact thinking about it, because like I kind of was like, what's up? And then like I had to pee so bad when we got to the stadium. Yeah. And so I headed off quickly there. And I'm always a little self-conscious too, because like, you know, on Swin Tower, when they talk about the fashion of the guys walking in. Steph is always highly critical of any guys wearing khaki, and my ass is always wearing khaki shorts. So like every time I see Steph, I'm just like, oh fuck.
Oh, I love them. I love seeing them. Yeah, great to see y'all for sure.
Yeah. So I guess we can just get into it. Actually, one thing before we jump into the episode, I just thought it was rich. You know, coming off of what we talked about on Sunday, that you know, the whole thing with the North End Pirates, the stadium security, and all of that. If you flipped on Apple TV and went to the preview clip for yesterday's match against Dallas, who's in the thumbnail? The Pirates with their megaphones. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny.
That was very funny. Like them using them, making noise with them. You could almost hear the noise from the screenshot there. That was hilarious.
Yeah. Before we jump into talking about last night's recap and ultimate disaster, just want to remind everybody the best way to support the show is by downloading the audio version of the podcast wherever you get your podcast. I've heard that some of those outlets, like a Spotify, have an auto download option. So if you want to unconditionally support the North End Podcast, you can turn on that option. Always download our episodes. Helps us out greatly. Also, rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast. If you are watching on the YouTube channel, still download that audio version. It helps us grow the show, as does hitting the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. You can hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, on this episode, hit the like button. Help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords. Atone for your sins like our captain. Wash yourselves clean in the red cards of the North End. Heading into Frisco last night. I will say also, you know, shout out Aggie, who hitched a ride with us. Up there. That was fun. Our buddy Jose along the way, and also good, you know, if trying to, I guess, get some positives in here before we get into the actual match. It was good to see our buddies, Dorn and Tim as well, some old coaching basketball buddies that live in the DFW area. And I will say another positive, both of them very much enjoyed the MLS environment, which, you know, I don't think either of them, like their reactions were made me happy that they were like immediately saw why you and I are so into this.
Agreed. Yeah, it was great to see those guys.
So we didn't talk about, but we saw on the injury report on Tuesday afternoon that in addition to the players we assumed were going to continue to miss this match for Dallas, both Illaramendi and Musa were listed questionable coming into this match as well. Both of them in the initial lineup, but then Illaramendi, after warmups, he gets scratched. So he did not play, but Batar Musa, boy, did he. And then checking out our lineup, a couple changes there. Alex Ring to the bench. Owen Wolff moved into the midfield with Ethan Finley starting out on the wing. And then, of course, Leo Väisänen in for the suspended Brendan Heinzike. So your takes on the lineup?
That was the exact substitution that I was talking about in the game prior. Why am I forgetting the team that Seattle, yeah. At halftime that I was looking for, just given how Alex was performing, how Pepe was performing, and being able to shift Owen back there. Ultimately, in this game, I don't necessarily know, given the atmosphere, given what was on the line, if it was the right call to not go with Alex. He's a veteran guy. This is a derby matchup. It was a heated game, and maybe his presence could have helped. I don't know. I'm not sure. There's just, the wheels are the bolts on the wheels are very slowly like coming undone here and coming loose. And I'm not sure if Alex could have made some sort of impact there. But yeah, again, to be expected with this thin roster right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think like, especially after the rewatch this morning and for like how much goes on in this match, just with the late night drive home last night, work this morning, didn't get a chance to get a replay in until later this afternoon and see the kind of the fracas in the second half. But like, I thought the first half, dude, was like one of our better first halves. Again, 1-1 going into the half, and we'll get through some of these plays here, but I thought until the penalty and everything that happens after that, I thought we were the better team. The stats back that up. The momentum charts back that up. The eye test. I was feeling pretty darn good at halftime last night. I don't know about you. Again, and so like I guess just I'm saying that off the question of was it right or not to bring Alex off the bench. I think the biggest argument in favor of having him out there is that maybe he brings that more level head. And I know Alex Ring is not always the most level-headed dude, but the leadership, right? We know what he brings out there, and could he have maybe prevented some of that? Maybe pulling Julio Cascante back, but Julio's also one of those guys that you kind of trust. I'd imagine if they have some sort of like leadership group on this team, both Alex and Julio are probably in that. I'd be surprised if they weren't. So I don't know. Yeah, I thought it was fine because we looked good, relatively good, right, to our road form this year until everything goes down.
I mean, this was one of the first halves we've seen on the road where we were the aggressor and we actually had them pinned back in their own territory, in their own space. And, they hit us just with some counters. And they got out into space and ultimately leads to that first goal there. But again, I thought I liked the way that we came out. And after we get that G goal and it's 1-1, I was feeling fantastic. I was feeling absolutely wonderful going into that second half. And that did not last very long.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and get into this one because plenty of stuff to talk about here. And then, of course, we have to talk a little bit about our Saturday opponent in about 48 hours kicking off against Charlotte FC. So first note I had here, E, from the rewatch this morning was the 4th minute. I thought, again, Austin on the front foot early, winning a corner in the first minute, and then a free kick here in the 4th minute on the right side of the offensive third. Sebas over it. Again, we talked about him starting to take some of those free kicks in the offensive half. This one was poor, one that we've got a result that we've gotten on guys like Emiliano Rigoni in the past, a guy like Owen Wolff in the past, right? When you're not getting it over that first or second defender and giving any of our guys a chance to get to it, just a poor free kick there. And again, maybe also I'm overly sensitive to everything that number 10 is doing right now because of how we have perceived his play over the last month or so.
Yeah, I was just about to say that this episode is going to be very Seba-centric here.
Sure, yeah. Rightfully so.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to talk about it. Not his best attempt for sure. But again, like you said, ultimately we were generating stuff in their third. And like this was a very solid start for us. And just a poor free kick attempt.
I also noted Peter Lucine, I think is how you say the interim head coach's last name for Dallas. This man has been in the gym. I don't know if you saw that guy, E. That dude is yoked. Yeah, I don't know if he was their strength and conditioning guy and then was elevated when they fired Nico or whatever, but dude is fit. 6th minute, Pitar Musa gets in behind our back line, which is really the first breath of life for FC Dallas. Offside flag does go up, rightfully so. But that type of play was really almost all they had here in the first half.
Literally all they had was send a long ball out and like on. He's offsides here, which was quite fortunate because he was bearing down on Stu. And then you have eventually this leading to the breakaway that gets them their first goal. But yes, again, like a lot of just clearances out of the zone for them. And then having Musa run onto it or Kamunga or that Kamunga, right?
Yeah, Kamunga is out there, yeah.
Yep. So he just using that speed. But again, it wasn't like they were building anything and like getting like it was just these long balls. And most of the time they had 10 guys pinned back at on their side of the half. It was odd.
Yep. 8th minute. I think again, Austin possessing the ball well. Good change here to find O'Brien from the midfield all the way on the right side of the offensive third. And he cuts inside, tries to find G in there, and that ball kind of just pings around, and it ends up being poked loose by Zardes to the feet of Driussi at the top of the box, and he takes a shot that's just pretty harmless coming off his boot. But hey, he's making sure Martin Paz is awake back there, I guess.
Those are not the shots that I've been asking for. That was I was really confused at his attempt there.
Yeah.
But again, it was like the struggles in the third for us, because again, we had been controlling this momentum. We had been controlling the pace. We had been controlling where the ball was being distributed. And just in this offensive third, we tighten up a little bit. It's just not, it's not getting to the ultimate point where it's like, okay, here's a really good chance that we're going to get here.
Yeah. 10th minute, I think a decent long ball here from Leo over the top to Owen, who brings it down, and like Zardes kind of overlaps him as they're approaching the penalty area here. And like, it was a 2-on-3 anyways. So like, I think it would have taken a really good 2-man game to actually get a decent look off there. But I thought Gyasi here just kind of like ran straight in the path of Owen. I think maybe a little bit more space in that instance would do them well, but Dallas takes the ball off him and counters, and they find Logan Farrington. Again, reminder, super draft pick that we could have had. It's been pretty good for them this year. They find Farrington down the left, and he holds up play, picks his head up, finds Paul Arriola streaking in unmarked on the back post. And I think Leo could have probably checked his shoulder again here and maybe been in a little bit better position to try to get something on this pass. But ultimately, this falls. The responsibility of Arriola being that wide open is clearly, after the replay, clearly Guilherme Biru, because on the replay, you can see that initial long ball, when it is played, he is even with Paul Arriola, and maybe even on the correct side of the field, the defensive side of Arriola, but he just stands there and ends up 15 yards behind Arriola when he slots it in the net. And man, like, I thought Guilherme, outside of just this one instance, played a pretty darn good game last night. This is also not the exact same as like when we've been getting on Driussi for throwing his hands up and not getting back. When we get on Owen for the Sporting game, I think, when he falls to his knees in the box. This is not the equivalent of that. But if we get on Driussi for that lack of effort, like, this is a lack of effort there, whether it was because you were tired or not. I don't think it was that, but big mistake, and we get punished.
Yeah, I mean, and for Guilherme, it was like, we've seen this dude run when he's been just like absolutely exhausted, when he's just like clearly got to come out of the game and still making an effort. And this was just not good enough. We had numbers here. You have defensive numbers here in this situation to handle this threat. And we're not, again, poor individual defense too, in my opinion. And it pops up again later in this game on the third goal that I thought was just bad individual defense. But, to look deeper into this and potentially to speculate a bit more about what's going on with this, we've said, energy, body language, that type of stuff is contagious. And when your captain is doing petty, childish kind of things, like it can carry over to other guys. And I'm not saying, like you said, this is not a one-to-one equivalent between what has happened in the past with 10 or Owen or other guys for that, for another example. But I should have been dealt with better. I really should have. And that really just takes the air out of it for us a little bit here. I like the way we respond, definitely.
You have
but
to.
Again, you just can't. It's just, these are just really fixable things that put us in a hole.
Yeah, for sure. 16th minute, again, the bounce back was fantastic.
Beautiful.
Austin right back on the front foot here in possession, working it around the back. Gallagher finds Danny Pereira on that right side there, and then Danny plays this ball right up the middle to Giassi. It looked like Ibiaga had gotten sucked out a little bit there. So it was good movement in that final third and just a great pass by Danny. And then Giassi takes 2 touches to his right. And this shot that he takes just like rises into the top corner for the very quick equalizer. So I do think that Danny had a pretty significant bounce back game here, not just because of the assist, but this was the icing on the cake. I mean, kid plays over 100 minutes last night, I think, when all is said and done. And I was very pleased with his individual game. Including the assist here.
I agree. This is a absolutely tremendous pass. I remember, Aggie was there with us and we're chatting a little bit and he's like, man, G is wide open consistently here. Like, we got to find a way to get him the ball. And if he does something good with it, great. If he doesn't do something good with it, okay. But we still have to get him the ball in this spot. And this is a tremendous, tremendous pass leading into space, allows G to get onto it, and a hell of a rip by him. And I'm feeling absolutely wonderful. Like, here we are. We've just answered their call again. The momentum and everything, even after their goal, was still in our favor. We're still in control of the ball. We're still in their half of the field. And I was like, all right, we're okay, back on level footing. And now, having seen the first 16 minutes of this game, we had been the better team up until that point. And I was hoping that would carry over and then, essentially the cream rise to the top, if you will. But man, I like I said, I've been asking for better performances from Danny, and I think he put it really well. He did everything that he's supposed to do in regard to what his job is, and then gave you the little extra credit points here with a fantastic assist.
23rd minute, again, like you mentioned, like the majority of this first half, Dallas is completely pinned back. Yeah. And Austin right here, like pouncing on a turnover, right? Those high turnovers that we rarely see. We're last in the league in that, if I recall correctly. Right here, Ethan Finley finds Giassi Zardes in the box, and he lays it off for Seba, who's kind of crashing with him. But Driussi just, either he's lacking confidence or just like this ball was tougher to control than what it looked like watching it live or on the replay. But like the fact that he doesn't get a shot off there was pretty surprising to me, even in the poor form for him that he's been in. I will credit Marco Farfan here, because as soon as Driussi does not shoot it right away, he has the time to come in and make a great tackle and break it up. But you have to have a shot there.
Yeah, it can be both, man. It could have been a difficult ball to handle, as well as him lacking confidence. There's clearly something is going on in his head right now. He is not. Has he ever looked like this since he's arrived here? I don't think so. It's never been a stretch of this much poor play that I can recall. So I'm with you, man. His head is not in the right space right now. So he's going to have some time to think about it, obviously missing this upcoming game. So I hope he can get into the right headspace.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, even in this stretch, like, it's more about the lack of the counting stats, right? And specifically the goals, because we've struggled to score so much. And, like, not all of that is his fault, right? Because some of the lack of depth and talent that we have in our attack allows teams to really key in on him, right? And you can see teams at times just kind of bracketing him with defenders, which, again, that can add to your frustration. But, you know, in this stretch, right, we've had the LAFC match where we both thought, I think the consensus was that he played really well. And, like, you know,
he was the best player on the field that game, you know, in a matchup that was, you know, versus a very talented team. But yeah, dude, his head is not in the right space. For whatever reason it may be. You know, the noise surrounding the team, the noise surrounding the coach getting fired, the results, the frustration from not receiving the balls where he needs to be receiving the ball, the frustration with some of his teammates in regard to the poor quality of service that he's receiving. There's a lot going on, but the frustration is really, really palpable. But the main thing is he's probably went away from the blonde hair. Probably. It's, you know, we're going to analyze this all we want, but that's
right. But if we're going to look at it scientifically, right, the hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I just want to jump to the second half here because the rest of the first half is more of the same. Like Austin not being able to put together that final action to put a ton of shots on net, right? And I will say, like, in that first half, like, Austin had more possession, which does not indicate success on the pitch, but I think in that first half it did. More shots on target than the opponent. And again, those numbers are not high, but relative to what this team has done on the road this year, I think it was one of our better halves. Then we get one of our probably 3 worst halves here. And we'll just jump right to the 51st minute here. Dallas takes possession here after a poor turnover, I think, by Leo here near midfield. And Sebastian Lletget starts the break. He finds Paul Arriola out on the right, who plays it into the area, finds Petar Musa, and he kind of pops it up in the air. Sabalain gets it back to Musa near the top of the box, and he kind of just nicks it up into Owen Wolf's outstretched arm there, and the penalty is rightly given here. Wolf knew it as soon as it happened. We all did. You could see it from, you know, our section 132 last night, I think, there in Frisco in the hot corner. So this is just the beginning of this escapade here. On the replay, I did not see this live. On the replay, Julio in Petar Musa, who's going to take the pen here, he is in his face talking, you know, trying to get in his head. And that happens almost every penalty with every team, whether we're taking it or we have conceded it. So I didn't think there was much of an issue there. And then Musa takes the pen. Stuver saves it. Tapped it up in off the bar and out, and then a header back on frame. Stuver settles it, but very quickly Armando Villarreal goes to the monitor, and Stuver is indeed off his line here. And this is where it really starts to all fall apart, because prior to the retake here, Julio, along with Logan Farrington, are chatting again right there around Petar Musa, and both of those players are given yellow cards. So Julio, talking a little bit too much, now you're suspended for Saturday on yellow card accumulation, which obviously is not great. Then Musa steps up. I mean, that second penalty, man, was excellent by Musa.
Trash talk did not work.
No, it did not. Not on the second one.
No.
But then right after that penalty is buried, Musa goes right up into Cascante's face. I mean, like 100% talk. Like, but that yellow card comes out quickly as Biru then gets in Musa's face, getting him away from Julio, I think, as he should. And again, this is just another reason why I love Guilherme Biru. We've talked about it in the past. He's not afraid to mix it up. He's clear. He's got his teammates back here. But as that kind of goes towards the corner, Nkosi Tafari is literally jumping up and down with his hands out like he's on the playground in preschool, teasing Julio about this goal. I think with all the discipline that's given out when this is all said and done, I think the fact that Tafari emerged with no caution for that, to me, it's just like very clearly like this is a yellow card in soccer, right? And listeners can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the actions of Tafari there, again, yellow card in soccer, technical foul in basketball, fucking 15 yards in the NFL, right? Like I'm blown away that he doesn't get a caution for this, but then Austin players congregating around Tafari after he does that, of course, and Julio there as well. But then Tafari goes down because he gets touched by somebody or something in that scrum. And second yellow comes out to Julio because Julio's over. I mean, he's pissed. I think rightfully so there. Danny's trying to hold him back. It looks like Julio like inadvertently like hits Danny as he's trying to get out of his grasp. And Danny just throws his hands up and walks away from the whole thing. And so Julio's sent off with the red. Then that goes to the monitor. And when you see on the replay, it appears that Sebastian Driussi put his hand, like just comes in, kind of like jumps into this little melee and just puts his hand right around Tafari's throat. And that's what caused him to just feel that contact and crumble to the ground. But Julio brought back from the locker room, Seba sent off. And yeah, it's a red card. So Seba, we're down a man for the rest of this game. He's suspended for Saturday, still alongside Julio because Julio picked up that first yellow card before the second penalty. And by the time we restart everything, it's the 61st minute. So it took literally 10 minutes for all of this to unfold. And I mean, I guess I'll just toss it to you. Obviously, there's a lot of thoughts about this, but none of them good.
Yeah. What an absolute roller coaster of emotion that this was. You know, we have the giant letdown with the handball. I'm really not sure what Owen is doing with his arms on this play. Both of them are very high and very away from his body. And a nice little chip by Musa, talented player who's about to, beat Owen here and just hits him right in the arm. I'm just really confused as to why his arms were up like that, right? So then we get to the PK. What a save. Now it's basically like scoring a goal. We're
for sure.
We're amped out of our minds. Like I had asked you right before that, has Stuver ever saved a PK? We had to go way back to, I believe, the RSL
I think was the last time,
playoff game for his last one. I know he hasn't saved one this year, so we're juiced up about that. Immediately go to the camera monitor with the off his line early thing, which we have no depth perception from where we're sitting to actually be able to tell if he did or not. On the rewatch, yes, off the line. And then, oh my God, we have this. And, what Tafari did was embarrassing. He absolutely deserved a yellow card for this. I don't understand how it's not taunting. And for him to walk out of there without getting any sort of punishment is absurd to me. Also, I just can't, I can't get behind somebody who does something like that.
You're
acts like they get shot. When somebody somewhat retaliates. And I understand that in every sport, it's usually the second guy who gets caught. That's usually what happens here. But after we reviewed this several times, I don't see how Tafari couldn't have got a yellow card. I remember talking with you on the ride back a little bit and, saying that, I understand where Seba's coming from here because it's like, you got to defend your brothers out there. Like you can't just be having somebody doing a Fortnite dance in front of you after, they score a PK goal. And, but it's just not his job. He's not the enforcer. That's not, you know what I mean? I'm not saying anyone should have came in with a violent action and really clocked Tafari or whatever, done something heinous along those lines, but it's not his job. And, I can applaud the fact that he wanted to have Julio's back and he wanted to make sure that, this wasn't going to be something where you just be flat out disrespected or anything. And as someone who, when the competitive juices get flowing and you're in the heat of the moment, I've retaliated on people plenty of times and I understand how it can get the best of you. But I think you said it really well on our ride home. This is where they won the game. From a mental standpoint, and then as well as getting our best players sent off in that situation. And with 10 man, I'm I'm not going to say it was something where he wanted to get out of the game, you know, but with all the things that are surrounding him, the frustration that is just palpable with him, he lost his mind. He lost his cool. And it really hurt us. It really, really hurt us. And now we're at 2 games back to back where we have never had anybody sent off this season. We have 2 guys have been sent off, 2 red cards shown the last 2 games here. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that falls on the head coach. The discipline, the ability to have your guys under control is going to fall on your shoulders. Like it, hate it, love it, whatever. It's going to fall on your shoulders here. And it is just a very large sign pointing to having lost a bit of respect, if not most of it, inside the locker room with some of these guys, you know. And I don't want it to be just me reacting to this situation, but we have a bit of a sample size here where things have looked really shitty as of late. And, you know, it's tough to get that back. It's very, very difficult to get that back. Winning is a good way to get it back. That is really the cure-all for everything there. So disappointed in 10, understand his intentions. But also with Julio too, man, like you gotta know where the line is eventually. Like you can't be throwing Danny off and acting all super violent. And it's like, then not go do anything about it. Like if you really wanted to get to somebody, like that always cracks me up where it's like, oh, hold me back, bro. Like I'm going to go get him. And then you let somebody go and they just kind of like stand there looking at him. So, I mean, it was an absolutely, it might've been the craziest 11 minutes, 10 minutes of action the entire season. Yeah.
I don't disagree there. And I think I do want to keep talking about this, but there's not much else to discuss in this one, especially after the 3rd goal comes. Because, I mean, I guess I could say this.
Even after that, I thought we still showed some fight, a little grit. You get the Giassi attempt. I thought that was a really good look. But, you know, ultimately, it would have had to have been spectacular. But, again, we were kind of on the front foot until it just became too much to overcome, where it's like you're down a man, you're pressing up, and here comes another breakaway.
Yeah, I mean, that's the note I have here, and what I wanted to discuss is like, why over the last 3 games that we've played in where somebody loses a player to a red card in Minnesota, we look like the team that's down a man when we're up a man. And then against Seattle, we press them at the end and have 2.5 legitimate chances. And then last night, like I said, right here, next 10 minutes, Austin on the front foot, which is wild with how much it's wild how much pressure we've been able to put on opponents down a man in the last 2 games. Why does that not happen when we're full strength?
It's a very
and I, like
question.
Some of that, right? Some of it comes from the game state where like if that team is up, they sit back. You know, I get that, but it still feels like once we get into that, we get in and around the penalty area, we've been able to, again, in those small sample sizes, the last 2 games generate more than when we're at full strength. So
I thought Danny,
like you mentioned, what's that?
I thought Danny actually really stepped up in this void here. I thought he was able to control the middle of the field on both sides of the ball without 10 in what was I thought a very valiant but futile effort at the end of the day. So I do want to say that. But yeah, man, like we said, that was the game right there.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned there's the Biru free kick, the Zardes shot, right? Danny's taking it to win a corner there down the left side. Biru with the second attempt from the left side that goes wide. But then in the 74th minute with what, again, feels like the first time that Dallas has been able to hold on to the ball for more than 3 or 4 passes since the restart, they take advantage of this delayed foul. And I heard you mention an individual mistake here earlier, so I'm interested to hear your take, because for me on the rewatch, what gets us here is that there is a foul near midfield. Ref plays advantage to Dallas, and like 5 of our guys just stop. I think they thought he was going to whistle the foul, which again is on them. You gotta stay on your toes here. But then Areola takes off down the left, sets up a streaking Farfan to just tap it in for the dagger. And tap in maybe is putting it lightly, but yeah, just the game-winning dunk, really, there.
Yeah, I mean, he's wide open again, and it's just, are you saying the mistake the mistake was by the ref or on
no,
our
no, no.
guys
I'm saying on the replay, I did not perceive, maybe again, because I saw our guys stop at midfield and then advantage be played and us be like, oh shit, like we're still playing.
Yeah.
That was where I think maybe I missed whatever you saw here on the replay as well.
Oh, no, I don't have too many comments on that.
Okay, yeah. Quad sub for Austin in the 76th minute. Johan, CJ Ring, and Rubio in for Wolf, Finley, Obi, and Zardes. You get Junkwa and Ansa in for Sabalang and Kamungo. 81st minute, Hedges in for Julio. 84th minute, off a Dallas turnover here. Danny gets loose with CJ in behind. And I think this is maybe my only critique of Danny on the night is I thought he could have laid it off to CJ, who got back in an onside position here. I thought CJ had a better angle to be able to potentially score this one, but tries to go near post, gets saved out for a corner. Corner goes over everybody and out. And then I guess a second critique for Danny, 98th minute, frustration foul, picks up a yellow. Now just 2 away from another suspension.
Yeah, we need some good behavior, man.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. So let's go back to the whole situation here.
Ruckus.
I thought Phil post-game, and I thought it was interesting that Coach Wolf said he thought it was a fair question, that Phil was like, what's going on with Seba? Like, is he captain material still at this point? You know, and Coach was kind of like, you know, I think it's a fair question. Something we have to look at. He certainly lost his head, yada, yada. We can't have it. I don't know, man. Like, this is just, it screws us. And I know we talked about the mental game being won in that moment. That's absolutely what it was. Because again, if we are able to, it's hard, man. Because like you said, if I'm on the team, right? And I see Musa doing that, and I see Tafari doing that. Like, there are a lot of guys I think that were out there on the pitch that I give credit to the restraint that they did show that I don't think I would have in that moment. But just like with Seba, like for him to come over and do that, you know what's going to happen. We've got, you know, in Dallas, I don't know if they have more than 2 cameras, but like we have cameras on you. And the fact that he didn't rush over immediately, when Musa first went up to him, or when Tafari's jumping around, that you wait until this like third altercation that's going on just to run in and put your hand around the guy's neck. It just doesn't make much sense to me. And I know emotions are high, and he did, you know, post an apology on his Instagram this morning, and that's great. But like, rather have you out there for the rest of that match, man, because we could very much, again, we were still everything but the scoreboard, which is, again, that is what matters. But you had a half hour to respond once again, and again, that draw would have been perfectly fine. You prefer the win, but you get the Copateas, you get a point on the road, and you head back home, hopefully with your captain able to play on Saturday. And then, you know, I don't know, man, what I had always envisioned for this Charlotte match, right? For the last month, right? For the last month was that we're going to come in, we're going to be excited, you know, no matter the results prior here, but we're going to have Bukhari for some amount of time and Dessler for some amount of time. And that's going to be enough to give us a little bit of positive vibes headed into the game. Maybe the team can take advantage of it, right? And that is the beginning of this final third of the season where we, again, clinch that playoff spot. We'll get to Charlotte in a minute. This whole thing is crumbling.
Yeah.
It is. If it's not already, it's about to be, if you don't win on Saturday, a full-blown disaster. Because, I mean, I don't know if I have to explain to anybody why. Everybody who's listening to this is watching that, right? But like the fact that now 2 straight games without with a red card, right? Have to get points at home, drop points to Seattle. Have to get Copateas on the road. You're in it. You're the better team. You're still in it after the PK. And then we're not. And headed into Charlotte, who's a good team.
Yeah.
And looking at the table, all the teams that we needed to draw or lose last night fucking won.
Yeah.
Of course, except Minnesota did us a favor. We're still tied on points for the final wild card spot. But again, if you're factoring in any of the context of how we've gotten to this point from being in third place in mid-May, and mid-May is not a small sample size, right? Neither is May to now. And of course, there's context with injuries and suspensions and missing Danny and Julio for a month for international duty, right? It has not been all sunshines and roses for, the coaching staff, the player personnel, right? Like they've had to step up, and certain guys have had to step up in ways that they're not normally asked to do. And until this week, they had kept their head right to a place where at least I felt that it was acceptable again. Like it was almost mission accomplished. Get to July 18th, in touch with that playoff line, feeling good about ourselves. And while you're still in touch with the playoff line, it's just going the complete wrong way. And there are next to no positive vibes outside of the fact that I'm still excited to see our new guys debut on Saturday. But my personal fan morale just takes such a hit when you don't have 10 out there. That certainly doesn't mean that we don't have a chance to win, of course, but like it doesn't help.
Yeah.
Even with the way he's been playing, it does not help to not have him out there.
No, of course not. Yeah, this is stating the obvious. The wheels are definitely, like I said, the bolts and screws are coming loose here, and we referenced and harkened back to last season when the bottom of this thing really fell out, and you drop the game to Colorado, and it just kind of crumbles. Doesn't it feel like this right now, that it's like setting up for that again? Yes, it does. But again, man, like it's been a fucking week for this club, and this like it's just been a hellacious week with the plane, with the incident with the Pirates, and we're all and you're emotionally invested in that, and like obviously we're emotionally invested making the trip up there to go see this game. High hopes of being able to be there when we get to take the Copa and potentially get to see the guys out in the parking lot celebrating. Right. We set ourselves up for that, because that's out of our control, but like I'm still super excited for Saturday. It is a must-win game. And look, maybe this is what, to speculate, to try to provide any sort of ray of hope here. Maybe this is what 10 needs. Okay. Maybe he just needs to take a step away from this for a second here. Not saying that this is a good thing to be without him, just like you said, but you got to find out, you got to figure out who you are here. The chips are down, your back's up against the wall. You're going to get a different person wearing the band on Saturday, and maybe that's a good thing for him to have that taken away. You do run the risk of potentially losing him entirely if you do it, if you take the band from him. Yeah. But how many bullets does this staff have left? Like how much more can you do before you potentially lose your job, get your head chopped off here at the sure. I mean, you even speculated you lose this game, get embarrassed in Leagues Cup, which is very likely given the opponents that we have to play. He could not be around after these upcoming 3 matches here. Very, very plausible. So for 10, man, he made a mistake. I think he knows it and acknowledges it. And this was, even with the stuff that happened beforehand where, he's kind of disgusted and throwing his hands up when we see some lack of effort and everything. This is a real punishment. This is something where it's like, oh shit, do I need to check myself here a little bit here and get back into this groove of stuff? So I'm hoping that he responds aptly by being a leader outside of being able to play in the upcoming game. And if they choose to make a decision to take the ban from him, again, you got to respond. You got to be able to respond to these things, even as negative and as poor as they are. So I'm still super excited for Saturday. It's a fucking must-win game for me. You have to get this game versus Charlotte here at home. I know we're going to be shorthanded, but also you get the infusion of some actual real talented players. Again, and still, like you said, we're tied for that last wild card spot here. We're tied for that last spot. So there's a lot of season left. is what I'm trying to get here to here ultimately. Is like there's still a lot of season left, and we understood what happened last year at the end of the season where this team crumbled and fell apart and everything. But the job's not done. The job's not finished. We still have some time here, and we're still on that line. So I'm hyped for Saturday as much as I am disappointed right now with what happened last night. And I'm just really hoping 10 can get his mind right. You know, take a step back. It's fine. Sometimes have to do that.
If you were to take the armband and give it to somebody else, who would you give it to? Stuver. Not who you think. Stuver?
Stuver. 100% Stuver. Not even, I don't even got to think about it.
Okay.
Stuver. Like we did it with Alex. I don't think it's a good look to take it from Alex, give it to 10, then give it back to Alex, kind of backtrack there. We've seen, I mean, like now that Seba has done this, we've seen guys like Julio lose control. We've seen guys like Alex lose control. We've seen guys with like 10 lose control. Stuver, not one of those guys. Obviously, he's not involved in the fracas here because he's on the other side of the field.
Right.
But it's Stuver for me, you know, and I think it could be potentially could be something to galvanize the team.
Yeah,
you got to find something here. You got to like I said, you got to win this game. You got to find a way to win this game, no matter what.
Yeah, no, I agree. Just for many reasons, right? You're still hunting for playoffs. You're still going, like you said. It's a good point. There are 10 matches left. That is just shy of a third of a season, and you are tied on points for that last wild card spot. Again, assuming the wild card spot is part of their goal, right? That they count that for playoffs as long as you advance out of that game, then you are on paper still just right there. But I think I just, for me, it would be disingenuous to say like any of it feels good right now. Outside of the idea that we're getting these guys we've been waiting for, a new designated player, right? Yeah. And whether Bukhari turns out to be MLS MVP down the road, or he's just like an okay DP. Obviously, I lean more towards the MVP side of it, but like it's an injection of talent, and we do have that on our side here. You'd think for some number of minutes come Saturday. But 10 games left, right? You need 15 points. 1.5 points per game feels pretty lofty right now for this club, but I'm with you, I think, in pulling the must-win lever here. It is not mathematically a must-win, but I think for all parties involved, it very much is.
Yeah, you can't go into Leagues Cup after dropping this game. You know, and also I think part of that goes in what's going into a lot of this is we're very much resigned to understanding that this team is not going to make a deep playoff run. This team is not going to make noise in the Western Conference. So the end of the line is very much approaching for this team in this iteration of it in 2024. So you got 10 games left and right on the line. I'm not saying I'm happy or anything like that, but we still have work to do. There's still work to do, and we are getting some really fucking good players over here. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully we're seeing some more green smoke because the summer transfer window is open until August 14th. And I thought, I think it was Aggie that told me this, that he saw this somewhere on the way up yesterday, but it tracks with my memory of last window, that the Matt Hedges trade was 3 weeks into the summer transfer window last year, and the Diego Fagundes trade was the final day of the transfer window. So, you know, you've got the ability to make moves all the way up until August 14th. So we'll see what comes of that. 55% possession for Austin at the end of the day, 11 shots to 9 in favor of Austin, 6 on target to 4 in favor of Frisco. No big chances created, according to FOTMob, for Austin. They did lead in corner kicks, though, 5-1. Just 0.73 XG for Austin, 2.14 for Dallas. Of course, 0.79 of that comes from the penalty kick. 0.42 expected goals on target for Austin, 2.82 for Dallas. I think ours, like I guess with the expected goals on target, right? I understand why Jassie's was still a little bit lower than your average goal there, because it was a pretty sneaky little shot there in the top corner. But I thought, all things considered, last night 3-1 was a pretty fair scoreline at the end of the day.
Look, man, they finished their big chances. You know, like they had 2 of them. They finished both of them. They get not 1, but 2 shots at a PK. You know, it's just all the other stuff surrounding this team right now has made this game look so much shittier. Because like we talked about here, for the majority of it, we played well enough to win, and another game that was there for the taking. And we have just continuously fallen short when it becomes time to take that next step and to level up and to go get the job done. But again, 10 games left. You still have ability to rectify those things. And, you know, we're going to be there cheering. No megaphones, but we'll be cheering.
Yeah. Post-match, coach obviously, in response to that question I mentioned about Philly, said, I think it's a fair question. Tonight, Seba certainly showed a lack of discipline and some irresponsibility. It's a game we have in pretty good control. I think we saw the response after giving up a goal was quite good, and 58 minutes of it on the road again against this opponent, we are pretty much dominating as we expected to do. And it's frustrating for the players, frustrating for the fans more so. You know, I obviously empathize with them. They come down on a Wednesday, and it's an opportunity for Copa Tejas, and a lack of judgment and an act of a little bit of irresponsibility really changes the game, and it's frustrating on a lot of levels. But Seba is going to have to regroup.
You do, man. Yeah, you got to regroup. You got to get it right. You got to get it right. There's 10 games left. We can't just fucking throw the white flags up right now. Like, you got to get it right. You got to get back in the right mental state. And I believe in him and his ability to do that.
Yeah. Stuver was asked about the whole sequence there in the second half. He said that the antics for the Dallas players was some absolute nonsense that I've never seen in world soccer before in my life. And that's kind of when the emotions started going. And we have to make sure to keep our emotions in check, even when we see some of the behavior that we saw. They knew exactly what they needed to do to push our buttons and kind of push us to that line. And he's right.
Yeah, absolutely right. And I mean, those bums are still beneath us. So
just by 1 point,
whatever, they're still beneath us. So you look at the 2 games that have taken place up there, we have dominated for 180 minutes. Well, I shouldn't say dominated. We have been the better team for the majority of the 180 minutes that we have played against them. We have the terrible turnover by Seba up there. We have this that transpires last night. And for them to have 6 points out of those 2 games is heinous. And what Tafari did was it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to, we could talk about this shit for 4 fucking hours.
I know.
You know what I mean? But
we did it last night on the way home.
The ref needed to come in immediately with the card and say, boop, this shit is done. Nip it in the bud. Like, it's over. You scored the goal.
Yeah.
Get the fuck back on your side of the field.
Soccer refs don't do that, though. They stand back. I don't agree with it. That's just what they do. It seems like that's what
he wasn't even involved in the situation. Tafari is not involved in what's going on initially. He comes up after and he's doing, like, you can't do that in someone's face, man.
I know.
People have definitely got punched for less.
Yeah.
And he didn't even get punched. And oh God. Well, he's on the fucking shit list. I used to really like him.
Yeah.
I really did used to like him because he's a good player. He's athletic. He's a good
I would
player.
Still like him on our team.
I wouldn't.
He's pretty good.
I can't look. I'm going to be down and up against the front row when they visit us again, and hopefully he's there because I've got a few things to say to him.
Yeah,
and I might do one of those too.
Yeah, that'll be in the playoffs, I guess, when we meet FC Dallas in the postseason.
God, now I'm juiced up.
Yeah, well, that's bound to happen. Go ahead.
If you wanted to get into the fracas and you wanted to throw yourself in there a little bit, 10, there was time to do it before.
Yes.
You did. Like, that was like, and that's the only thing that doesn't sit right with me, because I will defend a player who's actually defending his own guys, but like the melee had already transpired, if you will, and you needed to be in that initially if you wanted to get something off your chest.
Yeah. And that's what I think is I appreciate that. I perceive that whole thing that, like, our guys have each other's back. Like, Biru, again, right in there. There's multiple guys in there being like, yo, what the fuck? Chill out, man. Also, I would note that I believe on the replay, it looked like to me that if we're going back and reviewing people and their feet on or over a line that they're supposed to be behind, Dallas players entered the box before they were supposed to on that second penalty. So I don't know.
Yeah. Whatever, man. Like I said, it's 10 games left. Let's get to this next one here.
Yeah. And speaking of the next one, again, about 48 hours from when we are talking right now, Austin FC taking on Charlotte FC for the second time in club history. Austin, of course, has won the only meeting between these two. It was a 1-0 scoreline behind Danny Pereira's just wonder strike there. And like, what was a homecoming type of match for him out there on the East Coast where, he went to college and all of those things. So I know that was a friends and family game for him. So, one of his few goals that he's had here in his 3+ seasons with Austin got us all 3 points out there. And man, could we use another one of those type of goals from number 6 on Saturday. Charlotte coming in. We are not the only team debuting some new designated players, or I guess new. Yes, that's only us. But Karol Swiderski back with Charlotte FC after a loan spell that I believe he went out in the summer last year, if not then in the winter window, but back with the team now, has been training in Charlotte the entirety of this month. So I got to admit, I'm not so up to date on the Charlotte news and rumors and predictions to know if Swiderski will start this one or not. But even if they have him available off the bench, this is a more talented attacking Charlotte FC side than they have shown to this point of the year. Like, they have 28 goals for. We have 26.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, both somewhat offensively inept teams, at least when it comes to scoring goals. But Liel Abada, right, who we got excited about for a hot second when Austin was in the rumors to get him. He's got 6 goal contributions in his 13 starts. Patrick Agyemang, 7 goals, 2 assists, leading them in scoring. He's been a revelation for Charlotte up top. Kerwin Vargas has 5 goals and an assist to his name. Ashley Westwood has been fantastic in the midfield for them this year with 2 goals and 5 assists. That's a team leading 5 assists there for Charlotte. But what has driven this team, from, I think I've only watched one Charlotte match this year, but from everything I can tell and remembering back to that match, which again I think was 2 months ago, this is a team that is very defensively sound, because you compare the goals for here, the goals against, they have allowed 10 less goals, I believe, than Austin FC. Just 25 goals conceded in their 24 matches played. So it's going to be a challenge to score on these guys. Addison Malanda, the young center back who just inked an extension, potentially being sold overseas in the offseason. We'll see how that plays out. Him and Privet there on the back line, that center back pairing. Christian Kalina in net, again, to me would have been deserving, a little bit more deserving than maybe a Hugo Lloris or a Roman Berkey in the All-Star game. Kalina has been great. Again, he is the stalwart there on a team that has only given up just a hair over a goal per game. And they are coming off a road victory at FC Cincinnati and a draw against Columbus Crew. So 4 points off of 2 of the top teams, not only in the Eastern Conference, but in the entire league. And now coming to Austin on Saturday, this is going to be a tougher matchup than I expected it to be when the season started.
Yes, I agree. They're lead the league in clean sheets, 1 goal conceded per match. They are in a shit conference, Yeah, Eastern Conference isn't good. Like, it's just not. It's not as good as the West, in my opinion. I think that holds up when you look at the table, and that we would be in 3 points clear in 8th place if we were in the East right now.
Yeah, their mid-table is nowhere near as strong as the West, but I think
their top 3.
I think their top 3 are better than our top 3 in the West.
I agree with that. They are definitely top heavy. But look, man, I don't know how much scout they can get on Bukhari here. I don't know how much they've been able to see what he's able to do, but this adds a whole new element to our offense. And it definitely fucking sucks that we're not going to have 10 be able to be out there for his first game with Bukhari and be able to get him the ball and distribute and get that dude into space and everything like that. So again, it's about the response for me here. Like, we have to respond to what took place last night in Dallas. And I think once the dust settles a bit more and you look at the numbers and the figures of what happened and transpired in that game, there are some positives to take away from how we played, not how we acted.
Sure.
So something to potentially build on, and that might be grasping for straws here, but you got to grasp for anything at this point because the season's just not going to end now for us.
Exactly.
So you have to find something to try to build on and work with. So I am, again, very excited about this. I am not nearly as excited as I was when we were just like circling this day, like, we'll just wait till the 20th, brother. We're going nuts, you know?
Yeah.
So I just want to talk about what it's going to look like for us. Like, who do you think's wearing the band? Midfield's got to be Danny, Alex, Owen, or do you go Johan?
And when I asked you that question earlier, I don't think I gave what my take was, is I would love Stuver to be the captain in that instance. I think he would deserve it, but I think I'd rather it be with a field player because I think it's harder to state your case as the team captain to the official. The team captain's supposed to be the one that addresses the head official when there's an issue, right? And like Stuver can't run all the way down the pitch to do something like that. So like, I'm probably giving it to Alex. But if Julio was not healthy, if he wasn't suspended, I'd probably give it to Julio.
I get it. Let's just ask this question. Do we have any dudes on this team who talk to the ref in a way that is like advantageous for us, where it's like, I understand that there's a lot more that goes on that we don't hear, we don't see, we're not able to actually have context on, but like, do we have a definitive like leader out there who has a strong enough and powerful enough voice that he commands respect from the referee and then is able to articulate what's going on out there? Because I understand that, because one of the first things that I've looked at with other teams, and like you've seen randomly, where it's like, oh, the keeper is the captain, and like, how does he necessarily juggle those responsibilities dealing with the ref? So I'm just interested to see if Alex is a fantastic choice for that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, again, I obviously, like you mentioned, other teams, other good teams, I think at the club and international level, have their goalkeeper wearing the armband. So I think it's just my personal preference that I would like the guy with the speaking duties there to be somebody that can access that a little bit more readily. But like I said, Stuver is 100% deserving. And I think, in my opinion, both Alex and Julio are as well.
Fuck it. Give it to Diego. He's going to talk to the ref anyway. He's going to talk to the ref anyway. At least
might save him a yellow card.
Save him a yellow, or fucking give it to Owen and watch heads explode.
Oh my God. Please do not do that. So Gyasi Zardes has played a lot of minutes this week.
I was going to say, glad we got him out last night, because it's going to be Diego 10, right? G at the 9.
That's ideally, yes, but I just don't know if Zardes, again, that's going to be up to the high performance staff, but like, I don't know if he has that in his legs, just physically. I'm talking about whatever tests and metrics that the trainers run on these guys, right? With all the things that the stats they get, the numbers they get from these guys when they go out there and train and recover. I just have a hard time. I would be surprised to see him start, because we just haven't seen this type of minutes load for G this entire season. But yeah, ideally, all things being equal with who we have available to us, G up top, Diego playing in Seba's spot. But another thing is, obviously, 2 weeks ago, I said, with the way Bukhari has been integrated into training, this and that I fully expected a start here. Fucking Landon, man, has convinced me that is far from a certainty. I am not surprised if we see him come off the bench here and enter in the second half. And I guess my only hope here, from the fan emotion side of it, is that he enters at halftime and is able to give us that full 45 minutes.
What were his reasons?
I think that
the track record,
just in terms of the track record, I think not just with Austin, but overall just in soccer with transfers like this, because again, he stopped playing in the league in May, I think. Again, went to Ghanaian national camp, but did not play any competitive minutes there. Then he's off for 2 weeks. Then he's been training here. So again, I don't know. I want him to start. if he can go 90, that's great. Like if we get 90 of our club record signing, that's ideal. But I think again, maybe I'm just deferring to Landon, who I perceive to again have just like more knowledge about how these things work than I do in the soccer realm. So I get it, and I'm not upset if that is how it comes to pass. Again, I just want to see these guys out there and starting to contribute. But it'd be great if he was ready for 60, 70 minutes.
Look, man, I'm going to push back on G. I think G's fine. I think he's going to be fine Saturday.
Okay.
In the grand scheme of things, he hasn't logged a ridiculous amount of minutes over the course of the season. It has been heavy as of late, for sure. But it's all hands on deck right now. You know, with what transpired, I would have assumed that G would have been not starting. If 10 was in, Diego would get the start, and then you go from there. And then with Bukhari, yeah, I don't know. I felt much more confident about him starting. I understand where Landon is coming from. I also understand the track record with this team in regard to how long it can take for us to get people initiated into the lineup. But we're fighting for our lives right now. Like this is crunch time. So, and then you have the lack of talent that takes place with 10 not being out there, and you got to get minutes at it. You got to get minutes out of Bukhari here. Have to.
Yeah. I mean, and it's Leo and Brendan on the back line, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if we see any other rotation. Like, I think the midfield should be fine. Like, maybe Owen takes a seat. Maybe he starts on the wing, right? And then when Bukhari comes in, he's moved into the midfield. You know, Johan is relatively fresh here. I don't know. I'm going to be interested to see how we line up with no Julio and no 10 and potentially, again, Bukhari and Dessler off the bench. I think Dessler for sure, right? He is further behind, I think, than Osman. So maybe 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes out of Dessler. But I don't know, man. It's just, again, it's what I think all of us were hoping was going to be this, again, like grand debut where we have all these good vibes coming in. We just don't. And there's just uncertainty with almost every aspect of this team coming into this game. So again, I'm with you. I'm excited for this new chapter player personnel wise. Right. And hopefully we see Svatak coming in and we see some more green smoke soon, or there's a trade here or there, whatever happens. You know, I am looking forward still to this window because, again, as bad as it feels, you are still tied on points for the last wild card spot. And if you can get into the wild card and you can win that game and you can get into the first round, then ultimately you have done the bare minimum of what the bar was set by the team and the club at the beginning of the season. And like you said, you got a long way to go.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the rest of our schedule. So you got Charlotte at home, Leagues Cup, just the world's most ridiculous long break after that, going to Nashville, Toronto, you know, it's just all hands on deck right now. And I want to see him start. And, you know, I think you talked me into it initially. I jumped on board with you, and now you fucking left me out here. But yeah,
I blame Landon.
Okay. I will also blame him. Yeah, man. I'm still looking forward to it. I think that introduction of having him can take a little bit of the bite away that was last night, because, you know, I saw a dude with a Bukhari jersey last night.
I did. I saw that too.
Yeah. I was like, fuck yeah, brother. Like, here we go. So
yeah.
Give me G at the 9, Diego at the 10. Start him. Start Bukhari. Do it. I don't care.
Okay.
What are we waiting for? Like, is he not in shape to play 60 minutes in the fucking MLS? Like, this is a.
I would I know I would think so, but
again, and also it's not like we're doing like the offensive stuff that we are doing. The schematically stuff isn't some genius mastermind plan. It's all coming together, and you have to know exactly where you need to be and the cues and everything that sets off our triggers and all that stuff. And like, no, it's just been really pedestrian. So like, why not just throw our goddamn centaur out there? Pair him with Obi on the other side. Give me Owen off the bench, because I think that would actually be something where if you do need to get Bukhari out and like he can only give you 60 minutes of time, then you can put Owen in there. So I'll say, give me JoJo.
Okay.
The Punisher, baby.
The Punisher.
Let me see it. Pair him with Pep and Alex. That's a mean kind of midfield there. Like you said, there's no other real options outside of BHI and Leo. Guilherme, I love you, brother. Like, I love the guy.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about his fucking banana kick left-footed shot in that first.
Yeah, I know.
Which was just super, super sexual. Like that was
saucy.
That was hot. Like, so, you know, look, man, vibes are rising right now. Come on.
Okay.
Come on. Johnny G on the right, Bradley Scott Stuver with the armband, leading the boys out there. Let's get it.
All right. I'm not going to bring the vibes down any further. E, how much is Austin FC winning by on Saturday?
1-0.
1-0 Austin. 1-0 Austin. Okay, 1-0 Austin FC victory. I'm going to go 2-1 with a Bukhari goal.
Oh, this is quite different from what you were talking to me last night.
Well, you know.
Some text messages I got here this morning.
You get a couple. You get a couple hours of sleep. You know, you sit here, you talk it out on the podcast, and look, man, it's a must win. So I'm backing the guys to go out there and get the job done, no matter who's available.
Let's go. I'm all cranked up on Monster. Let's do it.
All right, 1-0 for E, 2-1 for me. Do not care how you get it done. We need 3 points headed into this Leagues Cup break. We will move on, E, real quick.
Let's talk about that big old announcement.
Yeah, oh God.
That earth-shattering announcement we've received here.
We are in a little bit of a time crunch here for you and I personally. So I want to push the talk about the new MLS rules that were confirmed, some that were discarded. I want to talk about that on Sunday. I want to talk about FCito a little bit more in depth, the new center back signing. I want to talk about that. This match against Loons 2 is kicking off as we speak, so no need to preview that. We will recap that match. But we can end with this, and we'll push the nonsense. We're behind on the best ball scoring. I have not looked at the bets since last night after the drive home and all that. But we did get the news on what the mystery announcement was for Austin FC 2. And I see the face you're making. That was my face too. They're going to play a match against Cancun FC, who was the champions of the basically like the minor league of Liga MX, right? So like the equivalent of Next Pro for Liga MX, their champion Cancun FC, which I believe is where Cristo Vela is still. That's where he came to us from. I don't remember. There. Yeah, I don't know if Cristo went back to Cancun or not. But Cancun is going to come here, I believe, and play a match at Palmer Field against FCito because we are the reigning Next Pro champions. And no disrespect intended to any of the players or coaches involved with FC2. I could give two fucks about this game, man. I cannot believe that this bumped the first team event at the stadium. The times did not cross over. It would be easier for me to get out to this match if I was already at Q2 and only had to drive 10 minutes over to Palmer Field if I was there for the signing. And now, like, I only have so much fucking soccer capital that I can allocate to a 6-day span. We've got Leagues Cup the night before. I'm going to the signing event to try to help complete my jersey on Sunday. And then we've got Leagues Cup again like Tuesday or Wednesday of that next week. So I can't make this match. I'm not going. I don't care, but there's no stakes to it either. Whole lot of nothing for me.
It's also just really odd and strange timing, given that like they're in the fight for their lives to get in the playoffs as well. They're just going to go ahead and play a fucking random ass exhibition game. If you were sending us to Cancun, then yeah, you could have postponed that and had us really excited.
I mean, I don't think this is like an Austin FC led initiative, right? I think this is MLS and Liga MX like trying to create this game. But again, from my fandom, I can't allocate any care to this at all. Hope the boys win. We'll preview it right on the pod, but I can't make it out to that, man. I'm sorry.
I won't be there either.
Yeah. Anything else for you, E, before we wrap it up here in episode 160?
It's game time.
All right. Well, In 2 days, it is that. Hope to see all of our friends out there at Q2 Stadium on Saturday and see you all back here on Sunday evening for another edition of the North End Podcast, where we will recap Austin FC's match against Charlotte FC, recap Austin FC 2's match against Loons 2. Best keeper in the world. We'll catch up on the nonsense. We'll catch up on some of these rule changes, maybe talk about some of the transfers that happen in MLS between now and then. Another action-packed episode on Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. We'll see you back here in a few days. Until then, he's E, and I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.